it says we're recording, so we can just trim it later.
Okay. All right. Let's just do it and jump into it. Hey, Warhawks, this is Colonel Wilson. Happy Friday. Here on, I think, what are we, Chief? We the 3rd or the 4th of September.
It is the
But
fourth.
anyway, nonetheless,
It is
4th of
absolutely the fourth.
September. Awesome. So in true freeform fashion, we are just going to ad lib this as we go. You can see clearly that we are not in the office this week. That is as we head into the long Labor Day weekend. We are both taking a little bit of downtime to reflect on the past couple of months. They've been very busy ones. And we're going to talk a little bit this week about balance, but I want to kind of orient it where I'm at. And Chief, you can talk a little bit about your pad there, but you can tell I'm wearing civilian clothes. I am currently in Maggie Valley, North Carolina, in a cabin out in the woods with my family. My wife and I own a cabin out here. And we have family in this area. And so it was really something that we wanted to do. And so we bought it here over the last 2 or 3 months. So this is our first time here in the cabin. We have family in Waynesville. But the reason that, while the cabin is great to have, the reason that we really wanted to have here was, and I'm not sure if you can
Oh yeah,
fully appreciate it and
that's
see
coming
it.
pretty good. I don't know about fully appreciating, but that looks pretty
Yeah.
darn amazing.
So we, as we talked about, there we go. How about that? We were in Washington, D.C. Up to there, and we lived in the city. And when when COVID hit, we felt pretty space constrained, and our children gave us feedback that maybe getting into a little bit more open environment. And so we've enjoyed that in San Antonio, but there's nothing like that right there. And so we are enjoying that over this long Labor Day weekend, and happy to be doing that. Chief, how about you? What are you up to?
Yeah, sir. So definitely thankful for taking a little bit of downtime. We hope as much as possible that our Warhawks, they've been pushing hard, and that's really what Labor Day is about. And we know some of our missions don't stop, but we hope they can at least find those moments. But as far as in the Blazer household, my wife and I, we're actually gonna be doing like a coffee tasting this weekend. So we'll be driving to kind of local brewery and then and roastery. So it kind of dual purpose on that. But I'm also just here in a little bit. I'm gonna go play some golf. That is something that I have. I know we're good to talk about balance a little bit more, but I kind of fell in love with the game early on in my career. Originally, I thought golf was a really stupid game, but then it challenged me like crazy. And then I took about 10 years off, but I really enjoyed just getting back into it. And the best thing about it is I can't think about work when I'm on the golf course. So I truly kind of just get to reset. And I think golf is a game of life. Like you never beat it, and it's amazing how many things that you are as a person kind of complement in the game. But yeah, I'll be doing that a little bit. And I think later on this evening we might we got a projector, so we'll probably put that up against the garage, and we invite some families over, socially distance in the little cul-de-sac we live in, and just enjoy some time together with some neighbors.
Oh, that's awesome. So do you mind sharing, do you keep track of your handicap? Are you that into it, or are you a hacker?
Oh yeah, I'm not bad. I'm not bad. I've got about I'm trying to get in the single digits. It just depends on the week. So last round I played, I shot 4 over, so that's not bad.
No, that's great.
It just depends. Like I try to, even if I'm hitting the ball pretty well, I try to hit it a little further, and then it can get sideways on me pretty fast. Always kind of pushing the envelope, but yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, so I'm a hacker. I go out probably 2 or 3 times a year, probably like most people. And even though I'm too hard on myself probably when I do and I play, by the time I'm done, every single time, it's just like you said, I forget about all the other worries in the world and all the other responsibilities, and you're able to just really enjoy nature and enjoy the course a little bit. So I hope you enjoy yourself, and I hope you get some time to disconnect from the rest of the world.
Thanks.
So yesterday we had the opportunity to go through, it seems like forever ago now, but we had the opportunity to go through and see 544 of our Air Force's newest airmen graduate from basic military training. And you and I had the opportunity to address those airmen. It was a pretty cool opportunity because we had PT'd with them before, and we had the opportunity to address, I think, 3 or 4 flights after PT. And then you went over to the PRC and you got to talk to them a little bit in the auditorium. So it was a little personal for us because we had the opportunity to kind of share some of that experience with them. Not, obviously we couldn't do as much as we probably would want to, but it was pretty awesome nonetheless. And so you got to make some remarks that were pretty awesome. Do you want to just hit on any of those highlights from what you said?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I remember. One thing I talked about. I mean, you've seen me. You kind of see me quote this poet in the past with Marshall Mathers, right? So, to if you had one shot or one opportunity to seize everything you ever wanted in one moment, would you capture it or let it slip? And that was the challenge with them, right? They were 13 days prior to graduation, and really was to try to connect with them on that day. When I was Airman Basic Blazer, standing in their shoes 22 years ago, what could I share with them? And I tried to summarize it. I don't think anybody ever remembers what you say, but hopefully you can try to amplify how they feel in that precious moment. And I tried to summarize it into flying, fighting, and winning. So flying, I think that we all have wings, we all have gifts, and we all have to be able to just go out there and apply those gifts, right? So, and I think the things they learn in basic training through discipline and teamwork are really the keys to that. So, just encourage them to go out there and be themselves and to push themselves. And the fighting part, I think the fighting part is what I got wrong early on was, I thought that the Air Force was going to be absolutely perfect. I thought that everything that was in our regulations and how people would communicate with each other and give feedback and everything, I thought would be perfect. And leadership's never perfect. So I kind of judged the institution too much early on. I judged the Air Force, and I just try to remind them that we are. The Air Force is living. It's us. It's you, me. It's all of us together, and we just got to continue to fight for that every single day. To make sure that we uphold those values and not just serve by them, but live by them. And then lastly, winning. I mean, that is what we're all about, sir. We're about winning. We're about when the nation calls our number and they need to put us in the game, that we're going to make sure that we're always winning in any fight, no matter what comes our way. And to remind them that, it's pretty cool. So this month that we're going to celebrate 73 years as an Air Force, as the world's, that's I try to relate to them sports teams, but that's a pretty incredible run as the world's most premier air and space power. But we got to defend that every single day. And that was what I tried to pass on to them.
Yeah, no, good point. So, we had some commanders calls this week to just kind of piggyback onto your thoughts there. And when we spoke with them, you highlighted Chief 22, General Brown. You highlighted the new document that you pushed out this week, Accelerating Change. And that whole document is really geared towards that winning that you're talking about, being competitive in this global strategic environment with our peer competitors. And so you're hitting on with our graduates, you're hitting on that competition piece and winning. That was spot on in my opinion. And so, to again kind of pivot off of that and my remarks, while Chief 22's, that he set that as the foundation going forward. Chief 21 was all about competition too. And Chief 21, General Goldfein, now retired, he really had a heavy focus on what we were then calling near peer competitors. And I had the pleasure to talk with Chief 21 before my change of command a couple weeks. And I had I know he's not Eminem, I couldn't draw on that inspiration. I wanted to draw on some inspiration. I thought Chief 21 was a pretty good one too. And so I asked Chief 21 what he would say to our newest trainees and our newest trainee graduates, our newest airmen. And he talked about two things. He talked about first, he talked about character, and character matters. And that, your character, no matter how hard the decisions get, no matter how many hard choices you have, as long as you keep your character and you make the right decisions for the right reasons, sometimes those are going to be complex. You'll be okay. And the second thing he talked about is competency. And so competency is what we need to focus on. They're all getting ready to head off to tech training, and that's where they're going to get that competency. Not a competency as an airman, they've got that here at BMT, but they're technical competencies, and that's where they get their level of expertise. And so, continue to focus on that. What I love about the Air Force is that we're always looking to develop, and so our NCO Corps embodies that right now, and our senior NCO Corps with the level of education across the board, masters and bachelors and masters, and heck, even some people working on PhDs in our enlisted corps. That tells you how this organization, this institution values competency, because they're always working towards that. So I thought that was it was good. And then I looked at it myself and I said, I took Chief 21's words and I said, okay, he's talking about character. And when I think of character, I think of integrity, and I think of character, I think about service. And he talked about competency, and I thought about excellence. And I said, you know what he's telling us if you think about it, is he's telling us that, as long as you remain grounded in our core values and you make decisions where you focus on fly, fight, win. I spoke about integrity, service, and excellence. And as long as you keep those always at the heart of everything you do, and you use those in your decision-making process and the way that you interact with your fellow airmen, subordinates, superiors, you're going to be in good shape. That's your secret to success right there, graduates. So I think I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to do it again sometime here in the future.
Yeah, it was certainly a special moment to join the team. Again, hats off to the 324 Training Squadron, the Knights, and that's the whole reason that all those airmen got there that day is those men and women pushing hard and investing in the future. But so I think all those things, flying, fighting, winning, integrity, service, and excellence, those values, the closer that we can get as an institution in our culture, in our environments, the more we're going to be able to continue to move forward those in an aggressive manner as a team. And I think that's what it is we owe every airman, no matter where you're at. When you look around, that's exactly what you see. So I'm excited that that we're really, really focusing a lot on those foundational things right now.
Yeah. Hey, well, so while I got you, you focused on one there in service, and I wanted to highlight something with my wingman. Sometimes as leaders, we lose sight of the fact that we're still airmen first and foremost. And my wingman here, I got a wonderful letter this week from a lieutenant colonel, and I apologize. I'm going to probably not say her name correctly, but I want to say it's Vulgari. And so I just wanted to read it to everybody, because I thought when you talk about service and you talk about selflessness,
you're really gonna do this right now.
It's happening. It's happening. So it goes on, and basically it says it was a rainy evening, and she had a 2001 Jeep that had broken down the military treatment facility, and she was walking to a service station to try and get help. And lo and behold, can you see me? Okay. Lo and behold, my wingman drove by, and he saw a fellow airman. He saw a fellow human being that was in need and in distress, and he picked her up, and he made sure that she got taken care of, and she got expedited back and got her car taken care of, and she was able to get a ride, and he did all of that. And she was so impressed that she sent me a note and told me how grateful she was for him, because she was kind of up a creek without a paddle at that point in time. And then one of her here I'll just conclude. I kind of gave you the paraphrase through the email, but it says, you remind me of Chief's, and this was to Chief, referring to Chief. He reminds me of days gone by when she was coming up in the Air Force, and Chiefs would stop and talk. They knew each airman by name. They would have cookouts in their homes and weekends with all the airmen invited, and they would go to their homes on Friday nights, and their wives would cook. The airmen would play cards or watch movies, especially over the long weekends. Most of them fell asleep on their floors watching the movie on TV. And later in the years, from Blockbuster Video, she said, don't laugh. She was dating herself there. And that Chief rented the Chiefs would, yeah, Blockbuster. I remember Blockbuster. And and she said eventually they figured out that that kept them all out of trouble, and it worked. And it was because that they cared. And so she said that you were kind of a relic of the past. I don't think it's meant to be a knock on our Chiefs of today. It's just it's a little bit of a different era. And so anyway, she was very, very grateful. So I just wanted to say, props to you, wingman, on doing that. And I would all use a little bit more of that in our lives, and kind of to empathize for others and put ourselves in their shoes. And you saw her in need that night in the weather, and you took care of her, and I appreciate that very much.
Yeah, no, thanks, sir. It really,
Yeah.
I didn't expect you to, yeah, but it really wasn't a hard decision at all. You're right. I saw a person out there, and it was nasty out. Like, you could tell it was about to let loose. San Antonio can cook up some pretty good storms, and I had no idea until she got in the car that she was Lieutenant Colonel, and she had shared with me she had really had a brutal day. And I think that's if we can all each day, wake up and just help somebody else. I don't know that it gets better than that. And I try to do that any way I can every day. But Yeah, I didn't know you would be
Well,
sharing that. But
well,
I'll tell you
that's
when that
yeah.
letter came in, I guess I want to share this with everybody too. Is we had a pretty busy week. Not that we have slow weeks, but um, when I got that email, there ain't nothing better when you get something like that, and to know that you help somebody out. So that really it really it made my day too. So
Well, that's leadership, through example. And so thank you for that. I appreciate it. And it brought a smile to my face, and it made me, I think it made me a better airman by hearing about it. And I hope it makes everybody else better airmen. So on that, I wanted to talk real quick. We're talking about service. We've got pretty cool event coming up. It's called is it the Day of Caring? We Care Day. And it's being headed up by our Lieutenant Colonel Ray Van and his wife, Jennifer. It's scheduled. I've got it here from 6:30 to 8:30 on September 10th out at the is that the, which gate is it? I'm sorry. The Loop Gate? Is that where they're going to do it, at the Loop Gate, I think?
I believe so, sir. Yes.
Okay. And so we encourage those that want to participate, and those that aren't familiar with it, which I wasn't a participant last year when they did it, but it's just as people come in through the gate, as our airmen come in, there's people out there cheering them on and have signs and telling them how much they respect what they do each day and how much they care for them. And so, as a matter of fact, I just got a note, and that's why I was looking at my phone here, my other phone. I got a note that they've now enlisted Randolph is participating at the same
Oh,
time as we will be doing it. So they're doing it over at Randolph now. So, man, that's momentum to, you see that and you start to build up towards something, you can kind of see it take off. So Miss Tony over at AFPC is on the email trail, and she said that AFPC and Randolph is in. So they're going to be doing it at the same time that we're doing it. So congratulations to the Vans, Team Van there, for making that happen, the 323rd Training Squadron command team. Really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's going to be a great way to start the day. And the reason we're doing that, if people didn't know, is it is a National Suicide Awareness Day on September 10th. So, the whole month, I think we'll continue to look at this as we battle this fight within and battle for hope in people's lives. But it's really great to, people start their day and to be able to look out and just create that moment of connection. And I know that's why the team does it, is just to remind people, no matter what, there's people out there that want to be there for you. So hats off again.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. Hey, Chief. And so I'm gonna fully transparent. My phone is not got a lot of charge left. So if I fall off, I'll ask you, Wingman, to bring it home. But one thing we wanted to talk about this week is, you can tell we're both trying to relax a little bit here. We wanted to talk about balance and having balance in our lives. And I mentioned my commander's introduction brief. One thing I talked about was I mentioned 10-2-5-7, kind of a way of life, creating that work-life balance so that you're well-rounded. The Air Force talks a lot about the different pillars and making sure that you use each of those. But 10, the 10-2-5-7 is kind of originally an Army model. They saw that they were having some struggles with work-life balance and suicide. And so they went to that model. And so 10 represents, if you add the 10-2-5-7 together, it's 24 hours in a day. 10 would be your average work day. 2 is the amount of time in the morning after you wake up that you should spend kind of doing whatever it is that you want, things that you enjoy. If it's things that are healthy, if it's, working out, or if it's meditating or praying or whatever it may be, to do that. 5 hours is the time after you get off work and you come home, the time you should spend kind of unplugged with your family. And the 7 is the 7 represents your sleep. So you should have at least 7 hours of sleep. So you add all those up: 10 hours of work, 2 hours for yourself, 5 hours with the family, and then 7 hours of sleep time. So I think we all strive to do something like that. And I think, while you're not going to sit there and look at the clock necessarily, it's just the thought process of going through and making sure you're well balanced. And I think it's really important as not only airmen that we do that. We've been working really hard. COVID has created some added stressors for us. So it's really important that we do get some time. And we also want to recognize that our BMT and maybe some of our tech training and some others now. And so our thoughts go out to them. We continue to urge our leaders to get them time off. It's really important. And it's not about being tough, and it's not about being committed, and it's not about being loyal. It's about having able to reflect on what you do and having that sense of awareness, so that when you're making these decisions that we talked about a little bit earlier, you're of the right frame of mind. Because no matter who we are, no matter how tough you think you are, no matter how great you think you are, if you work 16-hour days, eventually you're going to start to slip and you're going to start to slide. And I'm no different than anybody else, Chief. I bet you've been there yourself. But we really want to ask everybody to please take some downtime to decompress and find that balance.
Yeah, and
Chief,
I think
your thoughts?
yeah, no, sorry. I mean, this is something where, you know, they definitely didn't talk about this a lot when we were growing up in the Air Force, right? It was just kind of, and I don't know if it's just because we have a lot more connectivity, a lot more distractions, whatever that may be. But it is so essential to you got to make sure that the foundation of who you are as a person, because even like you talked about, sir, you know, 16-hour days. There's been plenty of times I work a 16-hour day, but I wasn't effective. I was probably only effective about 6 hours of that day, just because maybe I was just running on fumes. So I think you know, this is all about making sure that, you know, I had to recommit myself to fitness, especially with the demands of the jobs I've been in as a chief. Because I used to see, if you look at me through my career, my weight would probably fluctuate about 30 pounds depending when the PT test was, and that's not healthy at all. And especially, you know, I owe it to my family to come back to them after I take this uniform off and have some life left. So we ask people to really kind of pay attention to this, and there will be times in your career where you're going to have big demands on you. But what we ask is that you also have to be able to know that whenever you have the kind of option, you need to be able to also work just as diligently on the things you do for yourself personally and for the people in your life, your family, and to make sure that they're also on your to-do list, and then they're also not always in the bottom of that to-do list. I got that wrong for a long period of time, but we try to talk about it, and especially if we can kind of carry the load as a team and just tell people, hey, can you do this for me? Can you cover for me? Would you mind finishing this for me? You'd be surprised more often than not that people would say, yeah, I got your back. Go take care of what you need to.
Yeah, I've noticed the same, Chief, and not only have I noticed it, I've lived it. I mean, if you want to look at an example of somebody that was had their priorities out of alignment, I would categorize myself up until probably 4 or 5 years ago into that group as well, where I was burning the candle at both ends. I was so passionate about what I was doing and about our mission, about our airmen, that I forgot about the other family. You know, we talk about our Air Force family. My whole focus was my Air Force family, and I lost track of my family. And so I vowed to never do that again. And so now I'm very mindful about myself. You know, you and I say it all the time. We got to treat ourselves well, you know, and not only we got to treat ourselves well, when we do that, we show, we embody, we exemplify to our airmen that it's okay for them to do the same thing, for them to take time, for them to know that taking time for yourself and for your family doesn't mean you're not loyal to the institution. It just means you're a human being, and we're all humans, and we all need that. And so the other thing I'd also go on to say is, you know, as leaders, we're the worst about it probably, to have that drift, and you don't want to have that slip. It's our leaders. And so I continue to urge our group and our squadron leadership and supervisors, you know, superintendents, NCOICs, all of those, all throughout. As leaders, you need to make sure you have taken care of yourself first. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to take care of those airmen under your charge.
Yeah,
hey, I was thinking of movies. Yeah, go ahead. You have anything else?
Yeah, I just think since we're on it, I get it. It's a challenge too. You know, it's we talk about service before self, and some people kind of, you know, are challenged with that value. But I think when I was reminded, when I was a staff sergeant, had a command chief who was definitely a big influence for me and what I looked at leadership, but Command Chief Jack Johnson, and he talked about, he's like, hey, it's, you know, it's service before self, not service without self. And it's this, if you want to be able to give and to serve others, you have to have that component of self in there too. And one thing I thought too is, you know, sometimes we do serve for our families. We know that, but at the same time, you could be the best airman in the world. That doesn't mean you're the best parent or spouse in the world. You know, they need deliberate attention and energy too. And it's so reciprocal too. I think, so I just encourage everybody, it's, and you talk about the example, sir, if they look at us and they see just a bunch of workaholics and all we do is just work, work, work and can't have fun, and can't talk about life, then I don't know that anybody would want to grow up and be like us either. So, and they will be our replacements one day.
That's right. Hey, it's funny. You mentioned Chief Johnson. So, and again, just so everybody knows, this is 100% organic. We did not plan any of this. So, this is the second, this is my second wingman that I've had in my career who looked up to Chief Johnson and had Chief Johnson as a mentor. I had a Chief Master Sergeant Lorenzo Marsala, who was my superintendent when I was a squadron commander, who he looked up to Chief Johnson. He was always referring to Chief Johnson and things that he had said. You know what he called him? He called him a superhero. And so I had the opportunity to meet the superhero once, and he was pretty awesome. And I'm gonna guess there's some I can't remember what his official capacity was. He was a senior enlisted leader of, I think, a combatant command or something along those lines. I can't remember now off the top of my head. But I bet you there's a lot of Chief Johnson stuff out there on the net and on the YouTube. So we'll have to check him out. It's funny. I got a big smile when you said his name because it brought back a lot of memories for me. Awesome. So, hey, Chief, so I was thinking about movies. We always relate to pop culture in some way, shape, or form. So I was thinking about balance, and the movie that came to my mind it's called A Very Good Year. Most people probably haven't heard of it or haven't seen it. It stars Russell Crowe, and he is a stockbroker. He works in London, I think, from what I remember, and I'm just going off the top of my head, or I think passes away, and he's a workman. He's wealthy, and so he goes back home to, settle the estate. And you see that his father was a wine producer, and had this beautiful vineyard and this beautiful home on the vineyard, and he was producing wine. And he goes back there and he sort of reconnects with his roots, and he realizes that he can't let the business go. And he leaves that hustle and bustle from the big city, and, and he gets back into the life that he hadn't realized he'd been missing all along. And so, so he takes back over his father's vineyard, and, the rest is history. So he kind of reconnected with himself, and he found that balance in his life because he had none. He was a workaholic up until that point. So that was the movie I got. You got anything to share?
Yeah, I don't know that it's something as meaningful as the topic, but it's something I like to do, that we like to do as a family. It's one of our favorite movies, and that's just to laugh at the other guys. I don't know if you've ever seen The Other Guys. Got
is that Mark Wahlberg and Will Ferrell?
That's right.
Is that what
yeah,
that one is?
100%. Yeah. And The Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. So even though they're only in there momentarily, aim for the bushes. That's why. But anyway. But we always every time we watch that, we just crack up. So yeah, if anybody needs a laugh, you might have to watch it a couple times, but it's pretty good.
Cool. Yeah. Oh, so I get you. Your balance is spending time with the family watching that movie.
Oh, big time. Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Very cool. All right, Chief. Any final thoughts? I'm gonna get back to nature here and back to the family. I want to let you do the same. I know you've got a course that's calling your name, but I've enjoyed doing this. I'm gonna enjoy my time this week. All right. So with that, then for Chief Blazer, this is Colonel Wilson. Reminding everybody always, Warhawks train to win. Thanks for a great week. Have a wonderful Labor Day. Be safe out there. Remember your social distancing. Please be cautious of driving around, traveling around. And please make sure, one, that you come back safe, and two, you come back with honor. All right, Warhawk 1 out. Thanks, Chief.
Yes, sir. Let me stop this recording. Boom.